Now for any acoustic player, these chords in the key of G are pretty standard, and one should know them when playing. The same principle applies that we talked about with the key of E, in that when you use these voicings for the chords, it makes for a much smoother sound. Here are your traditional chords in the key of G. Here's your G, or some people play it like this, so that they can keep this finger open for a G sus. Here's your C, typical C, and here's your typical D. Now those are nice basic chords, and there's some great ways and opportunities to use those. But a lot of times in worship acoustic, you're looking for a real smooth sound in your chord transitions. So I'm going to teach you a different way to play G, C, D, and E minor. Those four chords are the common chords in the key of G because they are the 1, 4, 5, and minor 6 chords. So this is a typical way to play a G, and if you start playing it a lot, you'll hear it all over the place in pop rock and in country and everywhere else. Here it is. It's just like your G chord here, except you take these bottom two strings on the 3rd fret, on the B and the E string, and you hit them up on the 3rd fret with your 3rd and your 4th fingers. And what you'll notice about what I'm about to show you in the key of G is that these act as anchors. So wherever you move these other two fingers all across the place, these almost stay all the time and act as just anchors on the 3rd fret there. That creates smoothness. Smoothness in acoustic is attributed a lot of the times to strings that are playing the same notes throughout the key. So just like in E where you had these ringing out, here you're going to have these ringing out, which are a D and a G note, which makes sense because they're the 5 and the 1 of the chord. So here's your G. To get a C chord out of it, all you do is take these two fingers and move them up 1 string each. So it's like you're taking this and you're moving it up 1 string each. Here's a close-up. Moving it from here up 1 string. The sound is this. I'm just moving between G and C again and again. And you know what? These fingers don't move. They stay. They're anchors, right? So, doesn't that have a more smooth and kind of pretty and beautiful sound? Now, we've learned a G and C. Now to get to D, it's like you're playing a D sus. It's exactly like playing a D sus, but you're just, again, leaving these bottom two fingers here and moving these fingers. You can move this on the final string, the E string on the 2nd fret, and you're moving your index finger number 1 on the G string on the 2nd fret. And notice if I take my pinky off, all of a sudden I've got my standard D chord. What's nice about that is that when you put your anchor back on for your D sus, it makes it easy to go to a C or go to a G. So here's the net effect of G, C, and D. Now I'll move to a C. Now I'll move to a D. Now I'm back to a G. Now the final thing is very simple. An E minor chord. You keep your anchors there once again, and you put your fingers in the normal spots where E minor gets played. So your finger number 1 goes on the A string on fret 2. Finger number 2 goes on the D string on fret 2. And again, you're keeping your anchors down here. So here's the sound. So here, I'm going to play through a chord progression twice, and I'd like you to try to play it with me. E minor to C to G to D. Let's do it. 3, 4. C to G to D. And E minor again. Notice that my bottom two fingers are staying anchored all the time. It creates a nice smooth sound. Holy is the Lord in G. Let's try that. With normal chords. And hear the difference in the sound of the smoothness. We stand and lift up our hands, for the joy of the Lord is our strength. We bow down and worship Him now. How great, how awesome is He. Now, you heard those chords. I would submit that those chords sound okay. They sound pretty smooth because I can play them smooth, but they sound a bit elementary. They sound a bit like camp song, campfire type guitar playing. If you want to make it a little bit smoother and have a bit sweeter sound, use the chords that I just taught you. 3, 4. We stand and lift up our hand. They're also easier to play. For the joy of the Lord is our strength. We bow down and worship E minor. How great, how awesome is He. Together we sing. All I was playing there was an A7 sus. Then moving my fingers down, back to the C. Do that and it'll make your G's a lot more smooth, and it's really something that's quite standard. You'll start hearing it being played all over the place. Anytime anyone's playing in the key of G or using a capo and fingering in G, it's often those voicings of a chord because they're nice and smooth. They sound great.